Okay, kids, my name is Roger, and I'm coming to you from right there. That's the United States of America, and I'm right over in here in a place called Connecticut. And I say, hello, my friends. Now, if I was talking to you and I was over here in a place called France, I would say, bonjour, mes amis. That means, hello, bonjour, mes amis is my friends. And that's what I want is some friends. And what I want to show you is something that I think all kids like. I loved them when I was a kid. I'm older now, but I still love them. And they're fossils. And everybody knows what fossils are, right? Everybody thinks they're bones. And fossils are bones. That's what they've always found. But guess what? They missed all the best ones. Can you imagine? They missed all the best ones, and now you're going to be able to find the best fossils there ever were, because they're almost exactly the way the creature was when it was alive. And I'm going to show you how to do it, and you're going to be able to find them right in your own area where you live. If you have a backyard, you may be able to just walk out there and pick up a rock, and you're going to find out it was a little piece of a creature. And I'm going to show you. It's very, very interesting. So anyway, we're going to go away from the globe. You know this is a globe. You know where the oceans are. And you know these are continents. You see that? That's a continent. That's a continent. And people live on all of these different continents. And they speak different languages. And they have all different customs. But they all like fossils. And I have friends all over the world. I have friends way up here in Russia. And I have friends way over here in China. You see that, China? I have some other friends in India and all over in Africa. Even some way down the bottom down here in Australia. All right? They call that the southern hemisphere. And a hemisphere means it's part of the earth. And this is the top part is the northern hemisphere. Alright, so we're going to learn a lot about a lot of things, but wait till you see the fossils, and I can show you dragons and everything. It's going to be fabulous. And then you're going to have to teach your parents, because they don't know about this yet. This was just discovered. You guys are the luckiest kids that were ever born, because you're going to know things that you're going to have to teach your parents. I'm going to need your help, because they were taught things that weren't right. And now you're going to learn to correct things. Okay? And then you make your own decision. You have your parents. You show your parents. You say, Mom, Dad, if you have a mother and a father, or who takes care of you, show them and say, look, what do you think about this? You don't have to take my word for it. I'm going to show you the stuff, but you probably know what DNA is. Everybody now talks about DNA. Well, what is DNA? Well, it's the little stuff that's inside your body that makes you, you. And it's almost like a little set of instructions. You know what instructions are on the bottles of pills and things. They say, take one pill at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's an instruction. Well, inside of you, there's literally an instruction code. And it says, I'm going to make Billy, and here's how he's going to have blue eyes and blonde hair, and he's going to have all kinds of this and that. And then some people have black skin and red skin, and that's part of that code. All right, that's what DNA is. All right, and we found the DNA and the codes in all of these creatures that I'm going to show you. We actually had them tested to be sure that they were really what I'm saying they are. And the laboratory said, yep, sure enough, these were human beings long, long, long time ago. And so we have new evidence that your parents don't know about yet. And not even a lot of the teachers will know about this yet. So you're going to have to talk to them too. So I'm going to have you do the work for me, all right? Because I can only show what I can show. And I can only show so many. So I want a bunch of mud fossil friends. And what I want you to do is get together with your friends and go out and find these things. It's just exciting. You just have a fabulous time. Get your friends, get your parents, get your caretakers, whoever, your grandparents, and go out. You don't have to go far. You can just walk down the street and find these. They're everywhere. And I'll explain how they got to be what they are. And the rocks that you see on the ground, that you always thought were just rocks, guess what? They were alive once. That's true. That's a fact. And I'm going to show you the truth of it. Okay, so stay with me, kids. We're going to have a great time. I'm going to show you all kinds of stuff. This is going to be fun. All right, let's just do this thing together. All right, so stay with me. I'll be right back. Okay, my friends, look at this now. These are all rocks, and you see them all over the place, but guess what? They're not just rocks. They were alive, and I'm not kidding you. That's true. They were alive once, and they all have signs that show that they were alive. You see this? Look at that. That is a guy's lung. That was a person's lung long ago. It's a rock now, but it was a lung a long time ago. And that is where there was some blood in that lung, and we dug inside there and we got the blood out and we sent it to a laboratory, and guess what? It was a human lung. And it's very, very old. You see, it's solid. And up here, if you know how lungs work in a human being, there's a little piece up there that connects it, and then at the bottom it connects. And that is a human lung, and it's been tested to be a human lung. And then you look at things like this. You can see that was a bone. You see that? And it turns now into stone. Now normally bones turn into white bones. Everybody knows what bones look like. But these are what they call mud fossil bones. This is all brand new. They never knew about this before. It's just been found out, and it was discovered in Connecticut in the United States of America. And it's been tested in the laboratory, and they are all from creatures. This one here is from a fingertip. And guess what it's from? A fingertip of a human. It was tested, and that's where the blood went in. See that? Look at that. And this is the pattern of the bone that's inside of here. And it eroded all away. Eroded means the stuff that was on the outside sort of crumbled up and fell off. And that's what erosion is. And things will erode and other things won't. It depends on how they were, what they say they call preserved. And that means when something's preserved, it's saved and it doesn't rot away like everybody says, oh, the stuff would just sit out in the woods and rot away. And it does. However, they didn't know that if it was stored in mud, instead of being in the woods just out in the air, it was in real wet mud. That made it so that it couldn't rot. So the blood and everything stayed normal. And then they turned into, like this is also a lung, and the little drops of blood came out of that lung all over the place. It was a mess. And this is a finger too. This is a huge fingertip from a giant. These are from giant human beings. They knew, it was always written in history that there was giants, and now there's proof. So this is something you need to talk to your parents about. Tell them to look at this video and be sure they want you to see this stuff, because it's true, but some parents may not even want you to know about it. I don't know why, but I don't want to step on anyone's toes, they call it. They say that's stepping on someone's toes when you go and you do things that they don't want you to do, and I don't want that, because I want to respect everyone, and if you want to be my friend, you have to respect everyone. So if and your parents, you have to respect their wishes. You must respect, and you must respect everyone, because if you want to be my friend, I'm going to have to ask you to be respectful. So anyway, if to respect me, you must go to your parents and say, Mom, Dad, I want you to see this, or whoever takes care of you, is it okay if I look at this? And you tell me if because this is not what you're going to be seeing and taught. This is new and it's not yet understood. So I'm hoping you guys are the ones that are going to be able to make them understand it. See, that's a finger. And the guys that are looking for fossils, they look in the wrong place. Where they should look is where it's wet and in the mud. And that's where you find them all complete. Now, they break up. You don't have a big skeleton altogether, because what happened was glaciers came. Now, you know what a glacier is? It's a big, big, big piece of ice. And it pushes down. It moves. It doesn't just stay there. So now it moves. And what happens with a big piece of ice is it's so heavy that in front of it, the little rocks and whatever's there, it plows it up just like a big plow does when they go and they dig. So what does it do? It pushes everything in front of it. And there's piles of stuff. And if there's anything is whole, it breaks it into little pieces. They call that tilling. Okay, you ever hear that word? Tilling. And that means that they push all the stuff and they crunch it all up into all together into a pile. And then now what happens is the glacier says, okay, it's time to go back to where we came from. It's getting too warm. And it starts to melt. And then they say it recedes. You ever hear that word before? Recede. That means it goes back. I'm going to recede to where I came from. And it goes back to where it came from. But what it does is it leaves all of that stuff that it plowed in front of it. And that is where we find the mud fossils. And this is where you want to look. And you want to look where they call it the lowlands. Bottomland. You ever hear that word before? Bottomlands. That's where water settles. That's where it stays wet and muddy all the time. Because you know what? In your body, you have all kinds of different little tubing that makes your blood go around your body. And that tubing is made so that it doesn't react to other chemicals in the body. It's more like a piece of glass. You know how glass, it's just there. You can put it in any kind of water, and that's what it's made to protect and separate the water from the air. Well, that's what your veins and your arteries, that's what they call them in your body. You have arteries that push the blood down, the good blood, and then you have veins that say, okay, after you use that blood, you come over here, I'm going to suck you up and send you back up to the heart and the lungs, because that's where it puts more oxygen in. So that tubing cannot let that blood get in where it's not supposed to be. So the tubing, as long as it's wet, that tubing doesn't go bad. So in the mud fossils, it stays wet for a long, long, long time because it never dries out. Like the fossils they find out in the deserts. You know what a desert is. It's always dry and sandy, and that is what happens is all of the parts in your body that are fleshy, the gooey stuff, goes away in those conditions, and you end up with the hard bones, just bones. And then you know what bones are. Now, however, when you get buried, or well, not you, I mean when animals get buried in wet muds, they get so crunched in with the mud that they can't rot away. And because they're wet forever, the tubing inside the body doesn't really know that the creature has died, because the tubing wants to stay wet, and it does. And it eventually, the blood that's in it gets saved. And, oops. And here's what you're going to see. Watch out there. Stand back. Everybody for himself. Okay, here we go. Now, you see what this is? That is what everybody thinks is a rock, but it's not just a rock. There's actually blood here, and I'm going to put a little water on that. Hold on, my friends. I'm going to put a little water on that, and you'll see it will turn red in a second, because water makes blood. You see it turn red? You see it? Water does something that's called rehydrated. You know what hydrated means? Hydrated means put water inside of it. Hydrate. Put some water in it. And rehydrated means that was hydrated once with water in it, because it's the blood. So it was hydrated, and now it dried out, and now we rehydrated it. So that's why it's red. Now, over here, you see on the end, I told you have blood gets pushed in through the arteries, and it gets all used up down here through this rehydrated blood, And it turns black when it comes back. In the body it turns blue. But when it's out in the air like this, it'll be black. So here's what you're going to look for in the mud fossils. You're going to look for veins and arteries. All right? I mean, vein, that's the vein because it's black, and that's the artery. You're going to know so much about this, but you're going to have to teach your parents because they're going to not know anything about this. See how much they turn red? That's what happens to blood. It rehydrates. And I have them that actually leaked blood all over my counter. It took me 20 minutes to clean up the mess. Anyway, don't ever believe them when they say you can't get blood out of a rock, because they got a lot of blood in rocks. Anyway, my friends, we're going to stop for today, but these are all mud fossils, every one of these, and I can show you what they are and tell you how they were formed. And like, this is another lung. That's a lung. All right, and inside of lungs there's blood, and blood is made with iron. You know what iron is? It's a metal. It really is metal, and that metal, the iron, which makes cars and everything else, is in you, but it's in this. It's all in little tiny bits and pieces, and it's the chemistry, they call that, the chemistry of that makes it so that you can breathe. It goes all through here, and oxygen pushes into that metal complex. It's like a complex means something that's more than simple. It's complex. And it pushes that oxygen right into that, and then that pumps it down to your body, because you can't walk without oxygen. You can't move without oxygen. Your body uses oxygen. And I'm going to teach you all this stuff. You're going to have a great time. And I'm going to love teaching you because I like friends. And I have friends all around the world that like these fossils too. So if you like them, then you're going to be my friend, and you'll be my friend anyway, even if you don't like them. But I just want you to be respectful of everyone, and even when you show these things to people, they're going to maybe laugh at you. They might say, oh, there's rocks aren't alive, rocks weren't alive. Well, they don't know yet, see? So you have to be nice. You don't say, oh, yes they were, get upset. You want to say, well, if you look at the evidence, I think you will have to agree. That's all. Be very respectful, because you are showing them something that they don't know about. You're way ahead of them on this. But you can't go in and be pushy about it. You have to be nice, because you want them to understand. That's the most important thing. And you have to get your parents to understand, because they won't know anything about this. And you will have to teach them. All right? You're my friends, and I think you can do this. And I think you should get some of your friends together and go out and prove this to yourself. I'll show you how to find what they are, and then you can send me the pictures and we'll discuss what you found. And you may find something that's absolutely amazing. Because we had one guy that found a complete human head. I'll show it to you. You see that? Can you imagine that? That is a real, actual guy's head. It was preserved in mud fossil. And they did what they call a CAT scan. I don't know if you ever heard about that before. A CAT scan means they look inside with the rays back and forth. And they found that this head was crushed in by something really hard. This is some form of a hat he has on, and you can take a slip of paper and slide it right up in through this, so the hat is separate from his head. There's actually a sword blade or some form of a blade that they poked him in the head with. This guy died in some form of a battle. And you see the red and the black? Remember that, because that's the sign of blood. The red is blood that we know about. It turns rusty color because, again, remember the oxygen. I'm going to teach you some chemistry too. Very simple stuff. But you're going to have to teach your parents, because they won't know about this yet. Now, the red is called oxygenated. Oxygenated. That means it has oxygen in it. And then, by the time it gets used in your body, it comes back black. And that's deoxygenated. That means no more oxygen in it. So when it goes out and it pushes around the body, through the arteries, and that's the oxygenated blood, and your body says, hey, give me some oxygen. You got some oxygen. Everybody inside, all the little molecules, they're called cells. Little tiny things, they're little tiny round cells. And they say, I need oxygen, I need oxygen. So it comes up red, and it moves over through the body, and it comes back black. Because by the time it gets over here, there's no more red in it. And I'll show you that. Hold on, I have a rock that here it is right here. Now, this shows you exactly what happens inside of a creature as the body uses the blood. It comes down red over here, and as it moves across, it turns black, and then it gets sucked back up to the veins. Now, I've shown you a lot of different stuff, and there's even, not only are they finding human things, we're finding dragons too. You see that? That's a fact. That was a factual dragon head found in the United States by some kids. And they went out looking and they found this dragon's head. And this is a fact. This is a true dragon's head. It's called this right here, Dracorex Hogwartsia. They named it after the Harry Potter series because it's so phenomenal. You ever hear that word, phenomenal? That means unbelievable, incredible, phenomenal. And that's what they are finding now. And it's time for us to show, the older folks. You're going to have to help me. I'm an older folk, but I know about this. And I need you to help me teach the older folks because they're not paying attention to this. All right? But you are, because you're smarter than they are, really. I'm telling you right now. You have a wonderful opportunity to understand life more than anybody ever has. Because this has just been discovered. It's been proven. We know it's true. So all you have to do is present it. That means show it to your parents, to your caregivers, to your friends, and to your teachers. And say, go and look at mud fossils on YouTube. It's mudfossils.com. All right, can you remember that? Mudfossils with an S on it, .com, on YouTube. And they will see my YouTube channel. And here it is. Let's go look at it right now. Here's Mudfossils YouTube. And here is the videos. And there is a lot of them. We got all kinds of stuff going on. And it's all chemistry and it's all fun stuff. It's rocks and gigantic hairs. Look at this. Look at this. You won't believe this. This is actually hairs from giants sticking out of the ground. It's amazing what you're going to see in these videos. Absolutely amazing. And what I want you to do, see that? That's what a regular hair looks like in you and me under a microscope. And look back here. That's the hairs sticking out of the ground. And it shows more of it down here. This is a hand we found. And that hand is just like this for you. And that hand is 3 feet wide. That's as wide as a doorway. So we have found some incredible things, and you are going to be so thrilled. And I am so thrilled to have friends to show this to. Because that's all I want. I just want you guys to understand really what you see when you look down at the ground and look at rocks. They're not just rocks. They were parts of creatures. And I told you how they break apart and they get tilling by the glaciers, and then that's why they're all in little pieces. Some of them, this one here, appears to have all the parts intact. When somebody says intact, that means they're all sort of around in the same area. Or they should be all together, but they're close together. I could say it was intact. So I think the whole creature may be here and not just little bits and pieces that were pushed together. But we're going to find out. We're going to do it together. So make sure you show to your parents, you talk to them, and I hope you'll stay with me because we're going to have a lot of videos. But I need you to leave me some comments, okay? comment on what you think about these videos, because I maybe won't do them if nobody wants me to do them. So I need you to say whether you like them or you don't like them, and then maybe I'll know whether I should or not. All right? But I want friends, and I like respectful people. And I find that the kids I've dealt with have been just absolutely wonderful people. And I look forward to working with you guys if you really want to. All right? So leave me comments, let me know. All right? Thanks.